Hokage, Invincible Opening, Fury Konoha. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 31. The Uchiha clan is good at fighting, but they don't like fighting. After listening to Natsume's description, Orochimaru's eyes lit up. I see. This side effect is much better than the previous experiment. Obviously, compared to before. Natsume's transplant this time, countless, is the most successful. Minimal side effects. It can almost be regarded as more than half of the success. It can be regarded as a big step taken by Orochimaru in transplant surgery. That is, I don't know. After my own transplant operation, Natsume Kid has perfected Sharingan. How many people will bring terrible nightmares in the future? Well. Anyway, it has nothing to do with me, I'm just a researcher. Orochimaru secretly said helplessly. If he had tried his best a few days ago, he could still compete with Natsume. And now, with a few of them bundled together, I'm afraid they are no match for this brat, right? Why? Has the ninja world changed so much recently? Astonishing evildoers one after another, I am afraid that I will not be able to keep up with the times. After the operation was successful, there was no need for Natsume to stay here any longer. To be honest, the atmosphere and smell in this laboratory are not good. Soon, Natsume released the clone. He took back the magic knife and put on his clothes. Of course, before leaving. He still specifically asked about the arrangements at Tianjigua. Tianjiguo, are you ready? To be honest, I and Orochimaru are originally in a relationship of mutual use and mutual trading. This is the cornerstone of this relationship. And one's own strength is the bond that guarantees this relationship. As long as you are strong enough and keep getting stronger. It is impossible for Aunt Snake, who is as cunning as a snake and shrewd as a mouse, to tear herself apart and confront herself. To this, Orochimaru responded immediately. Certainly. It's all been arranged. It is estimated that today, the king will personally issue the credentials. Acknowledge the legitimacy of the Uchiha clan and Yenin village. Natsume laughed, you really made a good puppet. Orochimaru, Natsume-sama is absurd. It's just for convenience. I didn't take action against the citizens of Tanakuni. Moreover, most of the experimental subjects here are bandits and traitors captured from various places. I don't care if you arrest anyone else. If you dare to put your hand into my village, you know the consequences. Natsume glanced at the other party again. The still scarlet kaleidoscopic Sharingan was too frightening. Of course, I will pay attention. Orochimaru nodded and smiled. He still knew what to do with this point. That's it. Natsume also quickly left Yenin village and returned to her own village. When returning to the village, it was already noon. It can be seen that I have been in Orochimaru's base for most of the day. Of course, the successful transplantation of intercolumnar fine Natsume, whose strength has soared, also got rid of the side effect of Sharingan. At this moment, I am also in a good mood, very happy. He didn't even hide his figure anymore. Instead, he swaggered along the main street and wandered all the way back. It's also good to take a look at the way to see how the construction of the village is going. Young Patriarch. Hello, Young Patriarch. Brother Natsume. Young Patriarch, this is a freshly grilled meat skewer, try it. This is the fruit we just exchanged from ordinary villagers in the next village, you should try it too. Seeing his young patriarch show up. Along the street, many simple and enthusiastic clansmen gathered together. While saying hello, he handed Natsume a variety of delicious food and fruits. Soon, a high pile was built in Natsume's arms. It can be seen that although Natsume is young, but for the Uchiha clan who admire the strong, the outstanding young patriarch is worthy of their respect and love. What's more, it was the young patriarch who led them away from the Konoha demon's nest. Therefore, at this moment, almost all the clansmen here regard Natsume as their benefactor and the real young patriarch. Whoever dares to stand up against the young patriarch. It is estimated that before Natsume makes a move, others will directly tear him alive. Just like that, Natsume cheerfully greeted everyone. While receiving all kinds of gifts, he walked towards his residence. When you arrive at the door of your house, all kinds of condolences in his arms are already taller than his whole body. Just looking at it is quite gratifying. At this moment, without waiting for Natsume to open the door, Inside the house, wandering witch maiden, Nonayu trotted out wearing a maid outfit. Received most of the gifts for Natsume. Dean Nonayu, who are you? Xiao Mu's eyes lit up, slightly surprised. Madam Yu gave it to me. Since we are grateful to Natsume-sama for allowing us to live here. Then, for the next period of time, I will try my best to take care of your daily life. Also ask the adults to give permission. Auntie Yu really likes to worry too much. Okay, whatever you want. I can't drive you out, can I? Natsume waved his hand and said. And, not to mention, this Miko lady still looks pretty in a maid outfit. Double that guy? I heard that an orphanage is being built in the western part of the village. He went to help. That's good. There's a lot of food here, so you don't have to cook for lunch. Besides, you can take some with you and eat with those construction workers. Thank you, my lord. Nanoyu bowed his head to express his thanks. It's true for them, they almost all defected with me alone. I don't have much food left in my family, but they gave me so much. Looking at the pile of condolences in front of him, Natsume couldn't help but smiled and said worryingly. This also proves that your lord is loved by the people, doesn't it? Are all witches so good at flattering? Nanoyu smiled softly and continued. Although the contact time is not long. But the villagers here, as well as Natsume-sama, are very different from the Uchiha clan I know. At the root, all ninjas are indoctrinated. The Uchiha is an evil family, very warlike, very insidious, and must be vigilant at all times. At this moment, I only see a group of enthusiastic and kind-hearted ordinary people who are working hard to build the village and survive. Maybe, this is the real Uchiha clan? Nanoyu sighed from the bottom of his heart. Here, it seems that I feel much more relaxed than I am in Konoha. Certainly. No one is born evil. Discrimination and prejudice are often one of the sources of crime. The root is like this, and the leaves are like this. From the very beginning, it wasn't that we hated Konoha, but that Konoha hated us. In short, here, in the future, it will definitely become a new village that is very different from Konoha. Natsume said seriously. The Uchiha clan is good at fighting, but they don't like fighting. There is an essential difference between being good at fighting and being fond of fighting. You know, when even the ancestor Uchiha Madara tried to overthrow the village and seize power by force when Konoha was established. A group of Uchiha people once opposed Madara, unwilling to lose the hard-won peace. It can be seen that those who frame the Uchiha clan as warlike are all slander. And in the future, with the development and prosperity of Rinnegan village, these slanders are bound to be self-defeating. Afterwards, Natsume ate some lunch hastily. Then came to the outside of the village. I found an open space and began to practice the ninjutsu and abilities I had recently mastered. In the past few days, my own strength has risen too sharply. If you don't practice it well, you will suffer a big loss if you miss in the battle in the future. At the same time, Nonayu also went out to deliver food. In the whole house, there was only one panda with its legs crossed, lying on the threshold basking in the sun and taking a nap. But compared with Rinnegan village, which is peaceful and orderly developed. At noon of the same day, the news of acknowledging the legitimacy of the Uchiha clan and Rinnegan village suddenly spread from Tanakuni. But like a boulder thrown into a lake. In the entire ninja world, a large turbulent ripple was quickly set off. The 5 great hidden villages and countless small hidden villages were all shaken by it. Episode 32. Rinnegan became famous, and the villages shook. At this moment, in the meeting hall of Konoha Hokage building, Danzo is missing his legs and sitting in a wheelchair. Leaning on his left hand, he was struggling to push himself in front of the 3 Sarutobi. He yelled angrily. Have a look. Look, this is Uchiha. This is the result of your indulgence. Danzo slammed a piece of official document on the table. And it is clearly recorded on the paper that Tanakuni openly accepts the Uchiha clan and recognizes the legitimacy of the newly established Rinnegan village by the other party. Seeing such news, it's no wonder that Danzo was furious and furious. We all know. Got it? Got it, and are you still sitting here? What is this? This is a naked provocation to Konoha. The Uchiha clan who defected built Rinnegan village by themselves and wanted to ride on Konoha's head. How can this be allowed? It's a shame. Danzo became more and more excited as he talked, and even wanted to stand up and criticize. Result. His hand slipped and he almost fell out of the wheelchair. This reminded him that his legs were gone. Danzo, your legs. Mito Menyen on the side asked kindly. Oh. I'm fine, this is not the thing to think about now. Danzo straightened his body, with a gloomy face, and continued to speak resolutely. Turning to Sleep Xiaochun on the side spoke, and asked directly, then what do you want to do? Notify the other major ninja villages to join forces. Destroy this traitor village as quickly as possible. Danzo clenched his fists and suggested mercilessly. In his opinion, the only way is to kill all the Uchiha clansmen who defected in the most cruel way, and to smash that Uchiha Natsume kid to ashes. Only then can I pour out the pain and humiliation in my heart. Can't. Sarutobi directly vetoed it. Why? Let's be honest. The current village simply cannot afford a big battle. How come? Are you going to indulge the Uchiha clan? Danzo shouted. The third generation Sarutobi paused and explained. On the night when the Uchiha clan defected, the village treasury was also stolen. Initial suspicion is that Uchiha's defector did it. But now, only rely on the remaining money in the treasury. Even if it can barely support a big war. Afterwards, the village's economy will fall back for more than 10 years, or even collapse. Not to mention, contact the other great ninja villages and help us send troops to fight together. Konoha can't afford the huge expense afterward. Hearing this, Danzo was also stunned. He has been in the hospital for treatment for the past few days, and he really doesn't know about the theft of the treasury. It is also enough to see that Sarutobi and the others have done a good job in keeping this matter secret. Bastard. These damn traitors even stole the treasury. However, it's just a mere war fund. It's completely possible to borrow from a daimyo country. Danzo did not give up and gave another suggestion. To this, Sarutobi sighed even more. You know, serving the aristocratic bureaucrats of the Daemon Kingdom is a thankless task. Many of similar tasks were dispatched to the ninjas of the Uchiha clan to complete. Therefore, the Daemon country has a good impression of the Uchiha clan. It is said that there is also a ninja named Uchiha Izumi who is highly appreciated by the daimyo's wife. So much so that the Daemon country has characterized this incident as an internal conflict of the Uchiha clan. They don't agree with the village directly launching a war. It's not going to pay for it. If the village insists on going to war, the financial assistance to the village next year will be greatly reduced. Hear this. Danzo was even more dumbfounded. He never thought that Fire Daemon country would have such an attitude. Those corrupt officials are too cowardly. Could it be, is it really necessary to let those traitors go and continue to be arrogant? Danzo, calm down. I have already discussed this matter with Xiaochun. Next, I will try my best to send the remaining ninjas of the Uchiha clan to hunt down those traitors. You don't have to worry too much about this matter. Rest in peace. Danzo was taken aback for a moment, and then reacted. Do you want the Uchiha clan to kill each other? Aren't you afraid that the Uchiha ninjas you sent will never return? Danzo questioned loudly. At the same time, another concern he did not speak out. In his opinion, nowadays, among the remaining Uchiha ninjas, there are almost none who can beat Natsume's scary kid. Even Itachi should be a little bit worse. Sending those miscellaneous soldiers to pursue them again, wouldn't it be a sheep into a tiger's mouth? Danzo, we have our own arrangements. Don't forget. That night, it was because of you and the Root Ninja's rash move that Uchiha Natsume was let go. Xiaochun, you. Danzo blushed, feeling deeply humiliated. He cursed even more in his heart. If Xiaochun, an old woman, were to face Natsume Susanoo directly, he would be hacked to death with one move. How could she have the opportunity to scold herself here? Danzo, Koharu. Enough. No more fighting. Sarutobi yelled and stopped the two of them. Hearing this, Zhuanzhu Xiaochun also gave Sarutobi a face and backed down by 3 points. I understand. And greeted Mito Menyen. Menyen, let's go inspect the vault. It is good. In addition, although we can't go to war wantonly, those rebels are indeed too arrogant. For the sake of the village's face. Rinnegan, you still have to hurry up, urged the Uchiha ninjas in the village to hunt down those traitors. Before leaving, Zhuanyan Xiaochun urged again in a deep voice. Sarutobi hesitated for a moment, feeling a little unbearable. But still have to agree. Okay, I will arrange it as soon as possible. After that, Zhuanju Zaiharu and Maidamonian left the conference hall, leaving only Sarutobi and Danzo behind. Rinnegan, you shouldn't be so gentle. It is impossible to use the Uchiha clan to deal with those traitors. You know the strength of Uchiha Natsume, that brat. Let him grow up any longer, and the whole village will be in danger of being overthrown. Danzo stared at Sarutobi and shouted. Hearing this, Sarutobi was also angry. Danzo. What about you? Who do you think is responsible for getting to this point? Behind my back, order Itachi to slaughter the entire Uchiha clan. Are you really just doing it for Konoha? Does it have to be so aggressive? It's your purpose to covet their family's Sharingan, right? Danzo was surprised. Sunjan, you saw it all? Humph. Such a wicked arm, and those bloody eyes. Do you think I can't see? Danzo, you are so old, are you still addicted to those crooked ways? The will of fire. It can't be carried by those evil eyes in your hands. Sarutobi cursed angrily. It can be seen that he was really angry. Danzo was shocked again. He naturally knows that transplanting Sharingan like this is definitely not the right way. But, I'm already old. Physique, spirit, chakra, etc. are all on the decline just like Sarutobi. It is very difficult to barely retain the strength of youth. Not to mention further improving strength. As a last resort, he was determined to embark on this path, and cooperated with Orochimaru to extend his claws to the Uchiha clan who possessed the Izanagi art. Don't worry about my business. Danzo roared angrily, waved his hands and said stubbornly. Danzo. Hey. In short, don't meddle in the affairs of the Uchiha clan. Sarutobi said with a rare seriousness. Well. Hizen, I don't care about the follow-up of the Uchiha clan. But you have to hand over Nine-Tails Jinchuriki to me. This is impossible. You should know that kid Uchiha Natsume has opened Kaleidoscopic Sharingan. And Kaleidoscopic Sharingan can forcibly break the seal in Jinchuriki's body. Once he succeeds, control Kyuubi again. Don't you want to stage the Nine-Tails Rebellion again? Danzo roared confidently. In a short period of time, collecting more Sharingan, I can't count on it. Then the only thing to do is to turn your attention to the mighty Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. I will strengthen the supervision of Naruto, and I will never repeat the tragedy of that year. Sarutobi also gritted his teeth and responded. Obviously, that night 7 years ago has always been a deep pain in his heart. Danzo. Soon, in the conference hall, there was another fierce dispute between the two. And the guards outside the door were no stranger to this. Anyway, Lord 3 will flirt with Lord Danzo once in a while. Never mind, it will be over soon. That's it. When it was learned that Uchiha defected and everyone established a new village and settled in Tanakuni. Except for Konoha, who attached great importance to this news and quarreled with each other. The other 4 major ninja villages also attach great importance to this. After all, what to say? The Uchiha clan is a family that controls one of the most famous blood successors, the Sharingan. Even if there are only half of the tribe, it should not be underestimated. It is definitely enough to be comparable to the overall strength of many small hidden villages. Such a force to be reckoned with. Is it war? Yes and? Or turn a blind eye? The major hidden villages must also make a decision. Of course, at this moment, a certain rock hidden village in Nation of Earth. He was still dizzy with the big event of the vault being stolen and Huang Tu seriously injured. But for the time being, I don't have the time to deal with this problem. Episode 33. Bringing Doctrine, the first 5-year plan. Today is already the 4th day after Tian Country, publicly recognized, Yenin Village. It was also Natsume and the others, and it was the 7th day after they settled here. At this moment, Natsume was sitting in the living room. While engraving something, he was listening to his subordinates' reports. What is the attitude of the hidden villages? According to Yenin Village's intelligence network, the 5 hidden villages have different attitudes towards our Rinnegan village's establishment of the village. Among them, Konoha Hidden Village's attitude is the most radical. So far, several circulars have been issued, strongly protesting against Tianjigua. Request, Tianjigua, to withdraw the decree and cancel the legal recognition of our village. Continue. Follow the customs of one country and one hidden village, and expel us. But it seems that no ninja troops have been dispatched for the time being. Secondly, Rinnegan Village and Sharingan Village are a little more gentle. They only submit credentials to Tianjiguo through Thunderland and Windland, respectively. I hope that, Tianji, can you explain the reasons for acknowledging the independence of our village, and respect the reputation of Coolleaf Hidden Village? And then, the attitudes of Mist Hidden Village and Water Country are unclear. It seems that they are still in a closed state, and it is difficult to obtain their internal information. Finally, Rinnegan Village's attitude is a little ambiguous. It seems that they don't mind acknowledging the independence of our village. They also sent an envoy yesterday to visit our village. They are currently on their way. Uchiha Hiyoshi reported respectfully and meticulously. Since yesterday, Natsume has set up his own SS. There are currently 5 people in total, responsible for cooperating with oneself in handling government affairs and delivering information. Uchiha Nikio, Uchiha Fuji, and Uchiha Jin are all among them. Ryo was initially responsible for collecting and sorting out information and reporting it to himself. Hear this. Natsume nodded slightly. This situation is almost no different from what I expected. Every hidden village needs to be considered from its own interests. Even the 5 hidden villages are no exception. His own family defected to Konoha, which certainly hurt Konoha's face. But when a war is launched, the income is beyond the means, and the harm outweighs the benefit. Face or something doesn't seem so important. To be honest, if Konoha really uses the power of the village to attack his immature Rinnegan village, it's really hard to deal with at this stage. After all, whether it is the 3rd Hokage's Ghoul Seal or Mat Kai's 8-Gate Duinjia, they are all stunts that can threaten him. However, they were still intimidated. Fortunately, I am witty. Before leaving, a wave of Konoha treasury was looted. Otherwise, Konoha might organize a manpower immediately and launch a surprise attack on her hidden village. As for Rinnegan Village, it is easier to understand. They are probably gnashing their teeth at Konoha right now. An enemy of an enemy is a friend. Of course they don't mind at this moment that Uchiha defected to build a village and continue to fight against Konoha. Even, it is estimated that they can't wait to see their side and Konoha fight. In short, it seems now. In a short time, it is estimated that my village will not be attacked on a large scale. Is there any other important information? Have. Young Patriarch, you have explained before, we have obtained the general information of the Konoha orphanage. It's just that the situation is not optimistic. Even the information about the Konoha orphanage? Or rely on the information network of Otenin village? Yes. Now my hidden village has just started. Manpower is scarce, how can there be spare energy to build a huge intelligence network? However, in this regard, Orochimaru's Otoyan village is doing very well. Orochimaru, who attaches great importance to intelligence, has long been ambushes pawns and spies in the hidden villages. So far, it has achieved remarkable results. Not to mention stealing some top-secret information. But basic information can still be easily obtained. How could he let go of such an easy-to-use information network? Of course, you have to make good use of the bringing doctrine and use it happily. Want to come? As a partner, Ant Snake will definitely not mind, right? Very good. The village has only just started, so if you can use it, you can make good use of it. However, we must also pay attention to screening information, don't believe it all. In addition, keep the information about the Konoha orphanage. Now that Konoha is under strict security, it is not suitable to inquire too much. Follow up, I will go there myself to rescue the remaining orphans there. Clear. Natsume took a stack of materials from Ryo and put them away first. And the reason why he cared so much about this orphanage. One reason, since I promised Nonayu and Do, I must do what I said. Second, don't underestimate the role of this orphanage. You know, even though 99% of the entire Rinnegan village is now Uchiha tribe, But in the future, I want to make the whole village bigger and stronger. Just relying on these 400 people is definitely not enough. Therefore, gradually accepting other people is also a test that the village must face. And start with the orphanage, let the clansmen accept the orphanage first, then slowly accept others. Might not be a good way. Therefore, Natsume attached great importance to the construction and improvement of the orphanage. Young patriarch, it's time for lunch. Outside the door, Jin Uchiha, who was preparing to cook, ran in excitedly and called out. Brother Rieo, are you there? Suspicion? Young patriarch, what are you writing? The village plan for the next few years. Ah. What's that? May I see it? Uchiha-in, who has a free and easy personality, asked very curiously. Can. After getting the promise. In hurriedly brought his head over, ready to take a look. Just right. Natsume was writing down Yenin Village's first 5-year plan on the scroll. The first year, preliminary construction of Ninja Village, complete the popularization of handicrafts. Achieve independence and self-sufficiency. The second year, recruit talents, expand the scale of hidden villages, open the road to light industrialization, and develop self-developed scientific ninja tools. The third year, develop industrial construction centered on heavy industry, promote technological transformation, and realize the prosperity and strengthening of Ninja Village. The fourth year, destroy Konoha, annex the Kingdom of Fire. The fifth year, destroy the other 4 hidden villages and unify the ninja world. Read the future plan of the young patriarch. Uchiha Silver was stunned on the spot. Is this a future plan? This is simply daydreaming, right? Is the ambition of the young patriarch so big? In 5 years, do you want to unify the ninja world? With such a big step, aren't you afraid of scratching your head? After a while, Uchiha Ginzai couldn't help but stuttered and asked. Young patriarch, are these plans a little too fast? Quick. It doesn't matter. Plan first and talk about it when the time comes. How bold people are, how productive the land is. Only by setting your goals higher and farther can you have the motivation to struggle. Natsume happily patted Silver's shoulder and said encouragingly. It made Silver have no choice but to respond with a wry smile. But this goal is too scary. I don't believe you let Rieo see it too. Natsume nodded. Ri Yao, who was quite curious at the side, also leaned over to take a few glances. Next moment. Even Sun Yao, who has a slightly calmer personality, after seeing this outrageous 5-year plan clearly. The corners of his mouth twitched, and his forehead was sweating. Secretly marveling at the young master's ambition. Or is it wishful thinking? Young patriarch, these targets are indeed a bit shocking. Although I don't understand what the words handicraft industry, light industrialization, and scientific ninja tools mean. But Rieo can still recognize the words destroy Konoha, unify the ninja world. This is too scary, right? No wonder they have no dreams. You know, unifying the ninja world was a long-cherished wish that the incomparable ancestor Uchiha Madara-sama couldn't fulfill. Not to mention my hundreds of people. However, with the stunning talent of the young patriarch. After 10 or 20 more years, I am afraid there is still a chance. You guys. You have already separated from Konoha, so can't you be a little bit ambitious? Don't you want to take revenge on Konoha when you are dreaming? Don't you want to destroy that devil's lair? Of course I want to. Uchiha Jin was the first to be sure. Isn't that right? Don't worry. As long as I'm still here, that day will come sooner or later. Okay, let's not talk about this first. Let Fuji come in and report on the economic situation of the village. Natsume took the initiative to skip this topic and began to care about the financial situation of the village. Clear. Episode 34. Stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. From the very beginning, Natsume set the tone for the rights of the entire Yenin village. The supreme leadership, decision-making power, and military power all belong to oneself. All ninjas in the village are dispatched by themselves. No one else is allowed to accuse the military power. And under this tone, for all other rights related to people's livelihood, Natsume has given them a lot of freedom and handed them over to others. Even the financial control and scheduling rights of the village. They all graciously let them out. After all, to build a village well, there are too many aspects that need to be involved. Just the daily financial income, expenditure, distribution, etc., are enough to make people feel dizzy. Natsume didn't have the energy to settle accounts carefully. You only need to set the general direction and grasp the degree of financial expenditure. Therefore, although I borrowed from the vaults of Konoha and Iwane, respectively, 10,000 silver taels. But there is no lavish spending of money. Instead, all this large sum of money was deposited into the Yenin village treasury. The elders in the clan who are in charge of coordinating the construction of the new village will control the distribution and help build the village. At the same time, Natsume sighed. Uchiha Fuji and the bodyguard was also dispatched. Instead of yourself. Responsible for monitoring and counting the use of this large sum of money. Some people will not be given the opportunity to take the opportunity to embezzle. Of course, overall strategy. Still choose the mode of relief with work. Through a series of operations of designating projects, recruiting workers, building facilities, and paying rewards. Come to help build the village, add jobs, and subsidize the tribe. Like the stupid way of stimulating the village economy by simply distributing money and killing labor enthusiasm. Natsume naturally wouldn't use it. In general. Judging by how lively the village has been these past few days, the effect should be good. The weekly financial report that Natsume took over from Fuji handed over. Browse it a little bit. As a result, I didn't know if I didn't look at it, but I was shocked when I saw it. The financial expenditure in just 1 week is as high as 3.5 million taels of silver. Far beyond Natsume's expectations, it's really terrifying. But, take a closer look. Every expenditure on the report is in an orderly manner and is not a false report. You know, there are currently more than 400 people in the village. Except for the old, young, women and children, the rest of more than 100 young and middle-aged people have all participated in the infrastructure construction. Even including those dozens of ninjas. On average, one person works to support 4 people. And their daily wages are distributed by the village, and each person is between 200 to 400 taels a day. Take 300 taels for calculation. If 130 people work for 7 days, 273,000 taels will be distributed. Plus, build shops, roads, orphanages, hospitals, bathhouses, schools and more. Stones, glass, equipment, etc. that need to be purchased. And all kinds of pots and pans, firewood, rice, oil and salt, etc. necessary for people's livelihood. 0 and 0 add up. It only cost 3.5 million taels a week, which is really not much. This is still a barely saved expenditure by the elders in the group of clans who carefully calculated and calculated. It can be counted at this speed. Whole house. 10,000 yuan of financial reserves can only last for 42 weeks, not even 10 months. Moreover, as the village expands and becomes more complete in the future, the population will increase. Spending will only expand further. At that time, I am afraid that it will be difficult to support even half a year. This is much shorter than what Natsume originally predicted. It is even more proof that it is not easy to maintain and develop a village. Force is only the first level of protection. Without a sufficient economic level, it simply cannot be maintained. That's why. Even the mighty Konoha Hidden Village has no choice but to be humble to Fire Country. Even if he chooses to inherit Hokage, he must seek the opinion of daimyo. After all, people hold your economic lifeline. The ninjas in that village alone cannot support the entire village. Looking at this long list of bills, Natsume is also one head and too big. Now think about it, in those Naruto novels that I often read in my previous life. When the protagonist's head gets hot and his hands clap, he can build a hidden village out of thin air. It's TM's fart. On my side, the right time, the right place, and the right people are all taken. But just building a small hidden village, they are also trembling, like walking on thin ice. Sure enough, it is still the same sentence, it is easy to conquer the world, but it is difficult to defend the world. In short, we can no longer just sit and eat like this. Even if the treasury's finances can last for more than half a year, it is necessary to open up its own income channels as soon as possible. Without enough economic income, it is impossible to build a strong village. Okay, I get it. Second elder and the others are doing very well. Tang, tell them for me. Keep it up. In addition, don't be too stingy with financial expenditures. Even if it costs more, it doesn't matter. Everything is to build a good village as the first priority. After all, from now on, this is our new home. How can we build our own home, so we're still digging and swishing? Understood. I will definitely convey it. Uchiha Tang also beamed with joy, and immediately agreed. Yes. Uncle Tang, just suggest that the elders make the bathhouse bigger. It would be better to have a mixed bath, that would be comfortable. Uchiha-in, who was on the side, also took the opportunity to encourage. Bah. You brat, what are you talking about? It's you who want to take a mixed bath, right? Tang gave the brat a dunk and scolded with a smile. Then, he calmed down. Finally, he asked Natsume. It's just that, young patriarch, it's not a solution to spend extravagantly all the time. These silver taels will always be consumed. Are we next? Natsume, don't worry. In this regard, I will find a way. Uchiha Silver, could it be, young patriarch, are you planning to attack that village again? Are you planning to rob their treasury? Crack D.D. Silver took another dunk from Natsume. Nonsense. That's not looting, it's robbing the rich and giving to the poor. Natsume corrected solemnly. Hearing this, Uchiha Jin's eyes lit up, and he suddenly realized. At the same time, it seems that I really want to try this kind of pleasure of robbing the rich and helping the poor. But it's not a long-term solution to rob the rich and give to the poor all the time. A village that has been robbed once will definitely strengthen its defenses. I'm afraid it won't be so easy to succeed next time. Natsume nodded in approval. Vine is right. Therefore, purely robbing the rich and giving to the poor will not last long. We must develop our own income channels and form a virtuous circle in order to achieve the goal of enriching and strengthening the village. But we are all rebellious now. Ordinary big countries will not allow us to accept missions and earn rewards. How can we make money? Uchiha Jin said with a sad face. In fact, it is precisely because of this layer of reason. After the ninjas in each village defected, they generally had a very difficult life. Even if an outstanding ninja like the Kirk Hidden Ghost is not cut. He also had to rely on frequent missions to accumulate silver taels. Don't worry, I already have a goal. Young patriarch, what is the goal? Of course, Wano country. Natsume smiled gently, revealing those bloodthirsty fangs. Episode 35. Targeting the land of waves, making money is the last word. The primitive accumulation of capital is always cruel and bloody. According to the laws of history, there are generally only two ways to complete the initial primitive accumulation of capital. Namely, plunder and squeeze. The former accumulated wealth by plundering other countries. Just like the Western European countries in the Age of Discovery. The latter create wealth by squeezing their own people. Just like a certain Asangwa. And what about my Yenin village? It's just started now, and the whole village is full of less than 500 people. With just this few people, how can they be squeezed? Even if you use people like mules, such people can't create much value. Therefore, want to be rich and strong. Wanting to accumulate primitive capital, Natsume had no choice but to look to other villages. And now, both Konoha and Yenin were ransacked by themselves. Pooh. It was once a time of robbing the rich and giving to the poor. It is really difficult to succeed again. At the same time, the other hidden villages are barely maintaining a balance in the situation. If you go to loot them again and break this balance, it will only be more detrimental to the development of their own village. So, think it over. In other words, only this, Wano country, is the most suitable. Nation of Waves is located in the southeast of Nation of Fire. This is a small island country, only connected to the outside world by a bridge. The number of domestic ninjas is almost zero, the economy is poor, and the people live in poverty. It stands to reason that such a small and poor country is not worth Natsume's concern at all. Niha, Natsume who is familiar with Naruto world. But it is very clear that although National of Waves is poor, the president of the shipping company, Kato, who controls National of Waves, is one of the few millionaires in the world. Like this kind of rich and unkind guy who made his fortune by secretly using mafia and ninjas to smuggle drugs and contraband. Naturally, it is most suitable to be robbed from the rich and given to the poor. Moreover, robbing such a criminal group company may also reorganize the shipping company that received cargo. Rely on rich sea trade to earn endless funds for your village. Why not kill multiple birds with one stone? This is why Natsume set his sights on this small country, the real reason. In this regard, the Uchiha Tang and others naturally could not understand the deep meaning. But several people are very clear. It's right to follow the patriarch of your own family. Anyway, with the wisdom of the young patriarch, he will never let his family suffer. Young patriarch, are you going to that, was country? Well, just a few days, I will take a trip. I'm going. Don't worry, I really need a few people to help this time. I'll make an appointment before departure, don't worry. Okay. Fuji, you go down. Remember what I said. Don't waste money, let go of your hands and feet, and the village's infrastructure should be as good as possible. Obey. Next, Natsume also began to plan the construction of the village while preparing items and preparing to go to no country. However, that afternoon, the envoy sent by Rinnegan village just arrived at the village. Out of sympathy for Onamu's old waste, and in gratitude for the 70 million taels of silver generously donated by Rinnegan village, Natsume reluctantly received the other party. The opponent is a middle-aged ninja who is close to 30 years old, and it seems that he only has the strength of Chunin. It shouldn't be a very combative type. Only, after the Rinnegan envoy arrived, he was quite arrogant. It seems that it is not worth looking at the immature new village established by these Uchiha traders. Even when he saw the leader of the other party, he was really just a little ghost queen in her early 10 years. It is even more arrogant. It looks like a high-level ninja village came to a low-level ninja village to inspect and guide the work. Jin Uchiha and the others were so angry that they all wanted to draw a knife and kill this bastard. As a result, it didn't take long for him to groan. Natsume's Susanoo right-hand bone claw directly pinched it, crushing several ribs on the spot. After experiencing a wave of greetings from the god of death up close, I learned it right away. He never dared to show off his might anymore. Very respectful and apprehensive, he explained the purpose of coming. Said that he was ordered by the third generation of Hokage, and hoped to make a secret friendship with Rinnegan village and deal with Konoha together. Hearing this, Natsume said nothing. He drove the other party out without leaving any sympathy. Looking at the back of the envoy of Rinnegan, leaving in despair. The guards beside Natsume were slightly puzzled. Young patriarch, why don't you join forces with Iwaheim? Uchiha Ryo asked proactively. In his opinion, his own village can barely get off the ground. If we can join forces with one of the 5 great hidden villages, Rinnegan village, to resist Konoha, the advantages should outweigh the disadvantages. Natsume glanced at Sunshine and was very satisfied. It's a good habit to ask if you don't understand. It's better than those idiots who don't understand anything and do it blindly. Join together? Stop joking. Would you really join forces with a casual, unknown Shaoin village? Rinnegan village, at best just wants to use us and let us weaken Konoha. It's not good, and you will be calculated, and it's a secret cooperation behind the scenes. To put it bluntly, such a joint effort is useless. The village is just starting out, so it's weak. But my minimum requirement is at least an open alliance. Instead of this dispensable, one high and one low clinging. Unequal alliances. What you get in return can only be squeezed, not mutual help. Xiaomuyu explained. Accustomed to seeing the quagmire-like history of world struggles in his previous life, he has a deep feeling for these political games. At this moment, of course, you will not be deceived by the hypocritical overtures of Rinnegan village. How can a wealthy wolf be willing to be friends with a sheep? Unless he just wants to use this sheep to lure more sheep. Or, this wolf is called Big Wolf. Of course, who is actually the wolf? Who is the lamb to be slaughtered? It's hard to say. After all, I just got a lot of wool from Rinnegan village not long ago. After listening to Natsume's explanation, a few people also thought about it. Although the reason is simple. But in the game, it is not easy to see through. After all, the weak villages face the olive branches thrown by the powerful Wu Dain villages. It's really hard to be unmoved. Otherwise, Xia is currently born. There won't be so many small countries that were sold by Pretty Country and are still counting money for others. Not to mention. Moreover, thanks to Nonayu and Do, they have been latent in Yenin village for a long time. The entire Yenin village in front of him is like a dancer who is completely exposed, without any secrets at all. At this stage. Unless Yenin village is really willing to let go of its posture and show sincerity to form an alliance. Otherwise, it is impossible for Natsume to agree. Okay, people have received it. What he does when he goes back is his business. Just leave it alone. Also, Sun Yao and In, get ready. Depart early tomorrow morning, aiming at Wano country. After blasting away the envoy Yenin, Natsume also started to plan the business. And gave instructions to the two of Ryeo. As soon as I heard it, I can go out for activities. Uchiha In was overjoyed immediately, and couldn't help jumping for joy. Great. But is it just the three of us? Natsume, bring Tsukihime and Uncle Long again. Ryeo, you go and inform. Obey. Ah. Sister Yueji is going too? It's over, it's over. There is no good fruit to eat now. Silver couldn't help feeling sad. After all, Sister Yuuji has a cold and severe personality. This way, I'm afraid I don't want to indulge. Episode 36. Arrival, Xiaoxiu. Early the next morning, Natsume set off with several team members. Natsume, Uchiha Nikio, Uchiha Tsukihime, Uchiha Silver, Uchiha Takashi, a total of 5 people. Among them, Ryeo, Yueji, and In. They are all members of Natsume's Pro Guards. Among them, Yuji is Ryeo's older sister. She is 18 years old this year. She is tall, and her long legs almost match Natsume's shoulders. Cough cough. Of course, Natsume recruited her into the personal guards, and it was definitely not because of her long legs. The main reason is that their strength is also good. At only 18 years old, he possesses the real strength of Jnin. She is almost the youngest and most outstanding among the female ninjas of the Uchiha clan. Although it is not as good as the monstrous players like Kakashi and Itachi, it is also very valuable for training. After all, even the whole Konoha. Dozens of large and small families add up, count those hidden and anonymous ones. The total number of Hunin will definitely not exceed 300. And among the Uchiha clansmen brought out by myself, the strength has reached the Jonin level, and there are less than 10 of them. Among them, those old and frail clan elders were also included. Therefore, every young Jonin is very precious. Uchiha Takashi, 37 years old, Chunin strength. Not great in terms of combat power. However, he has been in charge of the transactions between the Uchiha resident and other Konoha families before. Rich experience in business dealings. The reason why I brought Uncle Long was because of his specialty. It is so convenient that after the destruction of Kadwa and others, they can quickly incorporate shipping company and integrate their business. As for bringing Sun Yao and In, it is purely to give them more opportunities to practice. After all, after the village grows step by step in the future, it will be impossible to manage it day and night by myself, right? It's better to cultivate more trustworthy and competent subordinates. Besides, this time out, Natsume was much more calm than last time. Many flying thunder god imprints have been left in many secret corners of the village. Plus his own sufficient chakra reserves of 72 cards. You can teleport back anytime. Moreover, even Konoha's side really did something. It is also very difficult to escape the intelligence network of Oto Ninja Village, as well as the Uchiha spy who he stayed in Konoha. Therefore, there is no need to worry about the safety of the village for the time being. The top priority is to make money quickly. Wa Nation is located in the southeast of Fire Nation. It is a little farther away from Tiong country. However, Natsume's group of 5 members, the worst ones are at the Chunin level and the speed is not slow. It took less than 2 days to reach the target country. Of course, if Natsume is alone. With his extreme speed, it probably won't take half a day. Wano country is located on a small island surrounded by the sea. If you want to enter, you can only rely on boats. As for the Naruto Bridge, which is quite famous in later generations, construction has not started yet. Quick, for a small bucks. Natsume and the others boarded a fishing boat leading to Wano country. The rower was a middle-aged man who was not too strong. According to the thick calluses on his hands and the fishy smell all over his body, it can be concluded that the other party is an old fisherman who has made a living by fishing and boating for many years, so he should not be a villain. Young family, young master, the fog here is so thick, I can hardly see the distance. The 16-year-old Uchiha Jin was lying on the side of the boat, looking around curiously. It's normal. Countries on the sea, including water country, are often shrouded in thick fog. Sun Yao on the side responded lightly. Compared with Ian, who doesn't like reading, it is obvious that his knowledge reserve is richer. That's right. But what I want to know is, why is there fog? How do these fogs come from? Brother Rieo, do you know? This. Rieo is at a loss for words, so I don't know how to explain it. At this time, Natsume, who was sitting in the stern, explained. Sea water is humid, and it is easy to evaporate under the light. After evaporation, it floats in the air to form water vapor. When the water vapor pressure increases to saturate the air, it will condense and form fog. Sunday? Silver? Yuji? Uncle Long? The rest of the people looked at Natsume with wide eyes. I just feel like I understand everything, but I don't understand anything. Natsume gave them a blank look, feeling as if he was playing the piano against a cow. Although I wasn't a doctoral student in my previous life, I still know the principle. This is a pity, and it is useless to explain it to these illiterates. Ha ha ha. The young master is more knowledgeable. Silver, don't always think about playing in the future, learn more useful knowledge. On the side, Uchiha Long joked with a smile, resolving the confusion of several people. The boat continued to row. After a while, Natsume took the initiative to ask. Uncle Boatman, how long is it? The middle-aged boatman wiped his sweat and responded heartily. Hurry up, we'll be there in a few minutes. It seems that several of you are noble young masters and ladies from big countries, right? No, we are all ninjas. Ah. How can there be a ninja as young as you, young master? Don't tease me. We are really ninjas. Natsume argued. But the boatman still didn't believe it. After all, Natsume and the others didn't wear the usual ninja forehead protectors. Ordinarily, even a ninja from a very small ninja village will have his own logo and forehead. But this is not surprising. After all, my house, Yenin Village, was built not long ago, and I haven't had time to make it solo protection. Uncle, we are really ninjas, and we are still very powerful. Uchiha Jin yelled. I don't believe it, unless you perform a ninjutsu to see. Master Ninja's ninjutsu is very powerful. Here, ninjutsu is not for performance. Silver froze for a moment, then looked at Natsume hesitantly. After all, it is forbidden to use ninjutsu indiscriminately and grandstanding. It's common sense among ninjas. However, few people thought of it. At this moment, Natsume was sitting in the stern of the boat. However, he spread his right hand suddenly, and began to condense a large wave of chakra. For a moment, a not-so-big but powerful chakra energy ball appeared in Natsume's hands. It contains at least 2 cards of chakra. The huge energy drove the surrounding mist, and quickly gathered to form a huge spiral vortex, which was quite powerful. Seeing that the legs of the strong boatman standing on the bow gave way, he almost knelt down and bowed down. Master, what are you? Uncle Long let out a soft cry, a little nervous. After all, in his perception, the chakra in this energy ball alone is several times higher than the chakra in his whole body. If this explodes, the entire boat will not be able to escape. Similarly, the rest of the people were also very nervous. Even Uchiha Tsukihime, who had a cold personality and kept silent all the way, showed surprise. I can't understand the behavior of my young patriarch. Next moment, Natsume didn't explain, just flicked with his right hand, and the fist-sized chakra energy ball was shot out instantly. Flying towards the left side of the boat, it quickly disappeared into a mist. After a few seconds, boom! A loud roar exploded. A large jet of water rose into the sky and sprayed out. It turned into big G raindrops again, falling down. The power of just one blow made the rest of the people dumbfounded and secretly shocked. Meanwhile, far away, accompanied by the sound of the explosion, there was also a large number of screams and cries for help. That is? It should be a group of sea robbers who make a living by plundering. Natsume responded lightly. Master, so you were just now? Their ship has been blown up, but there should be many people left. This kind of sea bandit does all kinds of evil, killing people and looting goods. Death is not a pity. Ri Yao, you go there and clean up the rest of the gangsters. Obey. With a cry of command, Ri Yao quickly jumped out. Stepped on the water and rushed to the left, submerged in the mist. Started to quickly harvest the lives of the remaining gangsters. Soon, another scream sounded. Unfortunately, it was only 30 seconds. The screams gradually disappeared. At the same time, he quickly returned to the boat with 2 bloody kunai sundials. Return to the young master. It is indeed a group of pirates, probably more than 20 people. All the survivors have been killed. Very well, sit down. Ri Yao put away kunai, glanced at her sister Yuji who was sitting on the left, and stopped talking. Uchiha Jin was amazed again. That's amazing. Are you really a bunch of pirates? Master, how did you find out? Also, what is the ninjutsu you just used? Don't you need seals? Natsume smiled. It's just a rough way to use chakra. It can be regarded as an ultra-low-end version of tailed beast jade. It only needs enough chakra and control to master it. I can learn it too? Okay. When your chakra amount is increased by 5 or 6 times, you can barely use it. Natsume replied, like a basin of cold water poured on Yin's fiery heart. With 5 or 6 times the chakra, I can save enough in the years of the monkey. Sure enough, the young patriarch is still perverted. It's the same as playing a big move casually. As for how Natsume detected the pirates in advance, it's even simpler. He has an S-level spiritualization technique beside him. It is very easy to perceive that all the living bodies around you are close to you and have souls. Moreover, it can also be discerned whether there is malicious intent or killing intent. Therefore, he was aware of it very early. On the far sea to the left, a group of malicious pirates were quietly following and approaching us. It's just that they are waiting for an opportunity before making a move. Just to test the power of my chakra energy ball, by the way. Don't worry, it's not for pretending or anything. And at this very moment, the huge explosion, the disintegration of the pirates in an instant, and these unfathomable and powerful ninjas. All of this has already frightened the boatman on the bow, paralyzed on the boat. Good guy, I am really a full-fledged ninja. And the youngest boy, what kind of monster is it? I have never seen such a terrifying ninja in my life. Haha. Uncle Boatman, do you believe that we are ninjas now? Uchiha-in smiled and joked. I believe it, I believe it. A few ninjas, please spare your lives. The boatman hurriedly begged for mercy, very panicked. Silver. Don't scare people. Natsume stalked. Silver Uchiha, Sigma, degree winky face. Just talk by yourself, what's so scary? And no matter how scary he is, there is no such thing as the young patriarch. What you did just now is terrifying. Okay. Don't be afraid, Uncle Boatman. We won't harm you. Exactly, I still have a few questions I want to ask you. Natsume helped the Uncle Boatman up and smiled kindly. Episode 37. Angry, you have to chop it out with a knife. Several ninja Samus asked casually. As long as it is I know, I will definitely explain everything. The boatman replied tremblingly. Although these master ninjas smiled kindly, he didn't dare to be careless. You know, those wandering warriors. Even if he killed a civilian like him in anger, he would not be held accountable. What's more, it's still such a high-ranking ninja-sama. Take it easy. You should also be from Wano country. Natsume asked pleasantly. After all, he is not a man-eating beast. Yes. Then have you heard of Kato Shipping Company or Kato Group? I've heard it. This company is now on our island. They came here suddenly 2 years ago. They said they saw that we, Wano country, are surrounded by the sea, and the traffic remains unchanged. They are willing to cooperate with us to deliver supplies and trade goods for the citizens. Up to now, almost the sea trade transportation of the entire island has been arranged by their company. Oh. Then what do you think of their company? To be frank, The boatman hesitated for a moment, but said calmly. It was pretty good at first. Many people on the island relied on their company's large cargo ships and the sea trade market to sell various commodities and made some money. But since last year and this year, the people of Cardo Company have gradually lowered our purchase price by various means. It's like the salmon that my family often catches. At the beginning, it could sell for more than 20 to 30 silver taels a catty. But now, it has been compressed to 8 or 9 taels by Kadwa Company. Occasionally, it is only given to 5 or 6 taels, and even robbed it several times. It makes most of the fishermen on the island miserable, and it's almost hard to survive. The boatman gritted his teeth and complained with hatred. It's not just fishing. Almost all industries in the nation of waves are being squeezed step by step like this. Otherwise, he who has been fishing for more than 20 years. Now they will not give up fishing, but come here to solicit and see off customers. It's almost impossible to support a family. On the contrary, Nakado Company relied on the low-priced goods levied from Nemania, resold them at a price that skyrocketed several times, and made a lot of money. Hearing this, Uchiha Silver was the first to exclaim. Oh. Such a low purchase price. Won't you sell it to other buyers? You know, in Uncle Konoha's shop, a bowl of the most common ramen costs 60 taels. And the purchase price of a whole catty of salmon here is only 5 or 6 taels. This can no longer be described by squeezing. It's even more ruthless than a pulverizer. No channel. The purchase channels of the entire island are controlled by Cardo Corporation. Apart from their family, we have no other channels to sell. Besides, if anyone dares to secretly sell it privately, it's not as simple as confiscating it. The faces of Ian and the others were even more surprised. Won't you resist? Being squeezed like this, you will die sooner or later. The boatman smiled wryly. Someone resisted. But, Kado Company hired a lot of wandering warriors. Those warrior masters with weapons are simply not something we can resist. Even the Lord is under their control, we are powerless to resist. The boatman said in tears. If they could resist and dared to resist, they would have done it long ago. Why is it so miserable? It's a pity that the enemy is too powerful, they can't beat it at all. Recently, I heard that Kaisha is organizing a rebellion, but it is still a dead end. How come, a mere company, and a few wandering warriors? Can you control the entire island country and bully countless people? Young family, young master, this is too unreasonable. Ian stood up abruptly, looked at Natsume, and a bit of anger rose in his eyes. The Uchiha people, who have been discriminated against by Konoha and bullied, naturally hate this kind of oppressive violence without a bottom line, and hate it very much. Similarly, the rest of Ryeo also showed serious expressions, very displeased with such a bully company. Silver, sit down. But. Sit down. Natsume said again, there was a bit of irreversibility in the immature voice. Ian had no choice but to sit down hastily, continuing to hold back his anger. Seeing that the atmosphere was becoming more and more dignified, the boatman quickly waved his hand and begged. My lords, don't be angry. This is all nonsense, I must not take it seriously. I also ask the adults not to reveal it. Otherwise, the life of my family may not be guaranteed. Natsume comforted him, Uncle, get up. Don't worry, we won't talk nonsense. The boatman let out a sigh of relief. And ventured to say a few more words. It's coming soon. May I ask the ninja Samus what is the purpose of coming to Nano country? If it's convenient, please tell me. I can also choose which port to disembark at. Natsume responded casually. Any port will do. We were just entrusted by someone to come to National Land of Waves to bring back some special products. Sunday? Silver? Yuji? Uncle Long? Several people spoke silently, then lowered their heads and held back their laughter. Still, the young patriarch is amazing. Tell a lie without frowning. Just as real. This special product is probably worth tens of millions of taels, right? Soon, the boat docked. Natsume and the others got off the boat and landed. The boatman I dare not take money. In the end, under Natsume's coercion, he still tremblingly accepted a delivery fee. At the moment, there are not many people on the port. But there are many cargo ships waiting to be loaded. Moreover, the villagers carrying live animals were watched and driven away by several warriors holding long knives. It's like directing slaves to work. The entire port has a dead atmosphere, which makes people feel quite uncomfortable. It seems that the boatman is not lying. The villagers here are indeed dominated and squeezed. Uncle Long glanced around and concluded in a low voice. Seeing this, the anger in Yin's heart was aroused again. Young patriarch, why didn't you let me speak out just now? Such an evil force should be destroyed. Natsume looks normal. He patted Silver on the shoulder. Past him and said as he walked. Silver. It's better to say more than to do more. It's okay to yell out the anger in your heart, you have to chop it out with the knife in your hand. Only when the enemy is hysterical in pain will they understand your anger. At the beginning, if our ancestors and patriarchs had chopped Konoha in pain, our clan would not have fallen to this point. And now, it's the same. In suddenly realized, his heart skipped a beat, and he quickly followed Natsume in front of him. Young patriarch, what should I do? In, when was the last time you killed someone? Natsume asked quietly, squinting his eyes. A year ago, during the 17th mission. It's been a while, do you still remember the smell of blood? Never forget. That's good, let's go. It is estimated that there are too many people to kill today. Be careful, don't dull Kanai. Clear. In strongly agreed, and the blood-red halo in his pupils suddenly rose. The next moment, a group of people headed towards the target stronghold of Kadwa Company and killed them at top speed. Episode 38. Hurry up and invite Rue. Less than 10 minutes. The stronghold of Kado Company, which made the whole National of Waves tremble, suddenly collapsed. Dozens of wandering samurai and several renunciants from Shaoin village were all put to death. Natsume didn't make a move the whole time. If you have to do it yourself to kill these little characters. It's like killing a chicken with a sledgehammer, making a fuss out of a molehill. Although these guys looked fierce, there were quite a few of them. But relying on the strength of swords and weapons, they can bully the unarmed people. Any Chunin who comes here can catch them all in one go. What's more, In also has special ninja-level strength. It is completely easy to destroy such an ordinary stronghold of evil forces. Soon. Covered in blood, murderous. With kunai in his left hand and a big man's silver in his right, he stepped out from the sea of ruins and flames. Young patriarch, the enemies have all been executed. It's just that the one named Kato was not found. This is the steward of this stronghold. He is still alive, so he should be able to get a lot of information. In threw the big man in his hand to the ground. The opponent's feet have been abolished by him, and it is impossible to escape. What's more, in front of a Chunin, 2 special Jonin, 1 Jonin, and Natsume whose comprehensive combat strength is unknown. Let alone such an ordinary person. Even if it was Hokage, it was hard to say whether he could escape. Very well, I thought you'd kill them all. That's right, staying rational in anger and never being dominated by anger is what a qualified ninja should look like. Seeing the bloody baptism, Natsume is also quite relieved to have grown a little silver. Only. Natsume was a little surprised that the big bully Kato was not here. However, think about it carefully. Only then did I realize that I was also misled by empiricism. Be a bully boss who controls a large multinational conglomerate. Why do you think that the other party should stay in Wano country all the time? This nation of waves is just one of the small countries he secretly dominates. Although the initial plot of Naruto did take place in Wano country. But that was 5 years later. Now, Kato Corporation has only dominated Wano country for a short time and it does not regard it as a core stronghold at all. Therefore, it is normal that the other party is not here. Thinking of this, Natsume's complexion darkened slightly. However, fortunately, the manager was caught alive and the other party should know the exact whereabouts of Kato. Well, one of you will torture me. I have a kind heart and I can't bear to torture him. Xiaomu waved his hand and said. In fact, the main reason was that I was afraid that I would accidentally kill this guy before the information came out. Let me do it. Uchiha Tsukihime, who had always been taciturn, spoke. Natsume nodded and led the rest of the people away. Leave that alive to Yuji. But for a moment. Natsume and the others standing in the distance heard screams from the ruins. Ah. That voice was like weeping and complaining, heart-piercing and heart-wrenching. It was as if as a man, the most precious capital was severely destroyed. Hearing that Natsume and the others felt cold, they involuntarily clamped their legs. Even the blood on half of his body, and the murderous silver. I couldn't help being discouraged for a moment, and my heart trembled. Less than 3 minutes. Tsukihime came back and brought back the information Natsume needed. That is, the whereabouts of Cardo and the headquarters of the company. After determining the destination. Without saying a word, the group immediately rushed towards the target. Only a large group of Wano country citizens were left behind, staring at their backs as they left in a daze, and the ruins that are still burning with raging fire. After a long time, everyone was relieved, crying and laughing, overjoyed. D. At this very moment, Soup Country. In the headquarters of Kato Group. Crack D. Kato smashed the cup in his hand on the ground, pointed at the subordinate in front of him, and asked angrily. What? The company's stronghold in Wano country was destroyed? What happened? The subordinate hurriedly replied in a trembling voice. The specific situation is still unclear. It was a telegram from over there saying that the stronghold was violently attacked. The attacker is suspected of being a ninja. Now that the connection has been broken, it is very likely that the group over there has been wiped out. Cardo was startled, and then continued to be furious. Trash, it's all trash. With so many warriors, they can't even beat a single ninja? What is it? Who is against me? Is it those people from Was country, the ninjas they hired? Impossible. Those guys are so poor, how can they afford ninjas? That's a hostile company? It's quite possible. Cardo gritted his teeth and guessed. Unfortunately, there is no way to be sure. In his opinion, even if it is really a means of competing companies, this is too bad, too breaking the rules. It's like the vicious competition between two multinational companies in Xiao's current world. It may involve smearing, suppressing, stealing information, or even asking some mercenary killers to silence them. It's all normal. But it's outrageous for you to directly ask the ninja to make a move. It's the same as paying a sky-high price to invite the special forces of the Wuchang Kingdom to attack. Who can stand this? President, the important thing now is not to find out who did it. But hurry up and take precautions. In case that group of ninjas come here, it will be troublesome. The kid whose IQ was barely online quickly reminded him. Exactly. We must quickly strengthen our defenses. Hurry up and invite Rue. No. Hurry up and issue a bounty mission, and invite me more ninjas. Kato urged eagerly. But, President, the cost of hiring a ninja is not cheap. Besides, the 5 major countries. We just thought they won't allow it. It's too late. Cardo was furious. He kicked the opponent hard and shouted. Damn it. No matter what time it is, you still care about whether it's expensive or not. Just invite me, it doesn't matter how much it costs. If you can't invite ninjas from the 5 major countries, aren't there so many rebellious ninjas? Why can't you invite them? Okay, I'll go right away. The subordinate hurriedly crawled out with hands and feet, and hurriedly invited someone to go. Unokuni is located in the northeast of Wano Kuni. It is also an island country surrounded by sea. However, the country's land area is larger than that of Bo country, and its population is also several times higher. Among the more than 10 island countries in the surrounding large sea area, it is only second to the water country of the 5 major countries. And because of its special location, it is also the sea trade center of many island countries. Many large shipping companies are located here. This Kato Group is no exception. After Natsume and his party left Wano country, they directly hijacked a large cargo ship of Cardo Company. Then headed towards Uno country. The cargo ship sailed overnight. Finally, early the next morning, they arrived at a port in Uno country. It can be seen with the naked eye that the port here is much more prosperous than that of Wano country. Large and small, nearly 100 cargo ships are berthing at the port, loading and unloading. Young patriarch, what shall we do? Those employees on the ship should know where the headquarters of Cardo Company is. Let them lead the way, and we will go directly there. It is good. Soon, the group boarded the port and headed inland. However, it didn't go very far. Natsume suddenly stopped a few people and reminded them aloud. Many ninjas are approaching, all with killing intent. It seems that Kadwa Company already knows that we are coming. Get ready to fight. Episode 39. Ghost Man hiding in the fog? Too weak. At this moment, Riyao, In, Yuji, and the slightly weaker Uncle Long are added together. The overall strength is no weaker than the Umbu elite team of the 5 ninja villages. As for the Kadwa Company, the number of ninjas hired is quite a lot. There are more than 20 people. However, they are basically rebellious people who defected from Shaoyin village. About half of them barely have the level of ninja. The rest are only at the level of trainee ninjas. Only the leader has faint chakra fluctuations of the Chunin level. Such a group of native chickens and tile dogs just want to come and touch Ci Natsume and others. It's simply overreaching and looking for a dead end. Soon, the first few killers who jumped out of the woods on both sides met each other, fell into a pool of blood, and died suddenly on the spot. Then, within half a minute, the remaining dozen or so killers were also shot to death by several people from Rieo. Even, the few people didn't even use Sharingan, and just released a few small ninjutsu to clear the battlefield. The thick bloody smell gradually spread out, staining the ground red. It was even more frightening that the 2 employees of Kadwa Company who were leading the way trembled and collapsed to the ground. Young Patriarch, the cleanup has been completed. Are these the killers sent by the Kadwa Company? They want to attack and kill us with such strength, it's really beyond their capabilities. Natsume nodded but did not relax. Instead, he warned several people, this is just foreplay, the main course hasn't even appeared yet. How many people on Sunday? And in the next moment, around the few people, a thick fog gradually rose. Everything in the field of vision was quickly wrapped up. Is this morning mist? No. This is not a natural fog, the fog is mixed with a faint chakra breath. This should be a man-made ninjutsu. Is it Kirigakure's Kirigakure technique? How come? The ninja from Kirigakure village is here? A few people on Rieo were startled, and quickly put on guard. And quickly protected around Natsume, the young patriarch of his family, guarding against attacks from around. Next moment. On the right side of the people, the fog shrank suddenly. Blinking body technique? Fog blinking body. Quian? Silent killing technique. Then, a sharp knife light flashed in an instant, aiming at the sun. Brother Rieo, be careful. Silver shouted. Fortunately, he had been vigilant for a long time, coupled with his quick response, Uchiha Rieo responded quickly. Instantly opened Urgyu Sharingan to predict the attack route. And swung kunai with his backhand, blocking the sharp knife. Clang.d.d. The ear-piercing sound of Jingu sounded. The huge force carried by the broadsword directly cut a big gap in kunai in Sun Yao's hand. And also knocked the kunai away with one blow. But this fatal blow was also deflected by kunai's resistance. Just brushed past Sun Yao's shoulder. A bloodstain that was not too deep was left, but his head was not severed. Court death. Seeing that her younger brother was injured, Yuji was also full of anger. He directly swung out his fist, and hit the ghost in the mist with domineering force. Boom. The heavy punch was blocked horizontally by the opponent with a big knife. But the opponent was also blown away by the huge force. It retreated more than 10 meters away, and disappeared into the thick fog again. Brother Rieo, are you okay? It's okay, little injury. It's just that the enemy is very powerful. It's not at the same level as those killers just now. Sun Yao quickly stopped the wound on his left shoulder with chakra, and reminded everyone. And his right hand, which had just been blown away by kunai, was still trembling slightly at this moment, which was enough to show the strength of the enemy. At the same time, in the thick fog in the distance, a thick male voice soon came out. What a punch! The strength is good. Which village are you ninjas from? Why don't you wear a forehead? Wait. What are you? Sharingan writing. Are you Konoha's ninjas? There was a cry of surprise in the dense fog. He originally thought that the target of this mission was just a few low-level ninjas from Shaoyin village. Unexpectedly, the strength of the opponents was very impressive. not only blocked his invincible beheading technique in the fog, but also had the famous blood succession limit of Sharingan. It seems that they are a group of hard ideas. The ninjas of the Uchiha clan are not easy to deal with. Damn it, my asking price is too low. I will ask that bastard Kadwa to raise the price later. No more regrets in my heart. Fortunately, I was not the first to show up just now, but let those worthless little ninjas try it out. Otherwise, they might have already been planted here. Can you see where the enemy is? Uncle Long asked calmly. Ri Yao supported Sharingan, glanced around, and shook his head. No. The mist is mixed with a little chakra, which affects the locking of Sharingan. The mist, the use of a knife, the strength is not bad. The opponent should be the famous Wuyin village rebel ninja Wuyin Ghost Touty will not cut it again? Sukiheim, who is experienced in missions, spoke. The identity of the enemy was guessed immediately. Among the Uchiha clan, she is a rare ninja who takes the path of body art. She punched just now, although she didn't try her best. But definitely not light. It is difficult for ordinary Jnin to catch it. And this ghost man looks like he can handle it with ease even if he doesn't kill it. It's really not easy. You have actually heard of my name. It seems that you really have a close relationship with Konoha. Or, you are the Uchiha survivors who defected from Konoha some time ago? Forget it. These are not important. In my mist, you will surely die. No. Since I have heard my name, I will try my best to leave you with a complete body. Arrogant, threatening voices came from all directions in the dense fog. Zabuzin, who was hiding in the mist, was delaying time with words. While walking quickly, looking for the weaknesses and flaws of the 5 opponents. Strive for the next move, one-hit kills. It's tiring to talk like this. Well, the fog is too thick, it's a bit dazzling. Stay away. Natsume rubbed his eyes, yawned, and said casually. Then, clap your hands. The violent chakra aura burst out instantly, centering on Natsume. It swept in like layers of hurricanes. But more than 10 seconds. All the dense fog around it was washed away. D. After the strong wind, everything around became clearer. Same time. In the distance, a certain mist-hidden ghost man was standing there holding a knife. He looked at Natsume with a dull face. Good guy. Although my fog concealment technique is not unbreakable. But this is the first time he has seen this method of cracking directly with a huge chakra and violently dispersing it. Good guy, who is that kid? How can there be such a huge chakra? And she was protected by 4 other people, who seemed to have a high status look. Could it be Konoha's Jinchuriki? Bujan said in astonishment in his heart. Generally, only the Renzali of each village will have a large amount of chakra at a young age. But why was he able to hide his breath so well just now? I didn't expect that I would sometimes go astray. I thought that the youngest kid should be the weakest brat. It's so powerful. Good. The young patriarch is mighty. Seeing the fog dissipate and vision restored, Silver cheered excitedly. Sure enough, what kind of bullshit is the technique of fog concealment? In front of the young patriarch of his own family, he was so weak. Okay, the fog cleared. That guy is too weak, not worth my hands. I'll leave it to you. Especially the 3 of you, Ryeo, Ueji, and Iin. Get to know each other well, practice your cooperation, and try to capture each other alive. Natsume waved his hand and ordered to the rest of the people. Although Zabuzin's strength is good, after all, it is only around the strength of the elite Jonin. If it was a few days ago, I would still be interested in playing with him. But now, I don't feel that way anymore. After all, what kid would get serious with an adult? I'd better leave it to Ryeo and the others to practice. Obey. With a promise, Ryeo and the others clenched their weapons and quickly attacked Zabuzin in the distance. Meanwhile, far away. Hearing that the brat actually said that he was too weak, not worthy of his shot. If he didn't kill him again, he would become angry instantly, his brows furrowed. He has grown so big, he has never seen such an arrogant kid. Originally, he felt a little bit withdrawn. He also quickly made up his mind to kill these ninjas who didn't know how to live or die. And that brat. Episode 40. Attacking him. Will you be playing dirty? Fierce battle broke out in an instant. Zabuza, who had lost the mist and smoke, did not back down in the face of the siege of the 4 people from Sun Yao. You know, he is also one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of Yuan Wuyin. He has the strength of an elite ninja, and he is also a top master of stealth killing. Looking at the ninja world, none of the ninjas whose reputation can spread abroad is easy to mess with. Moreover, this guy is with Bai, but he almost wiped out Class 7 once. And the 7th class sealed Kagayaji, and so on. Of course, this is all a joke. But no doubt about it. The strength of this fog-hidden ghost man, at this moment, is still very impressive. The ninjas who died in his hands may not be in the triple digits. However, the 4 people who fought against him should not be underestimated. Chunin Ryushu, who is good at far-surpassing attacks, Special Jonin Sunya, who is good at ninjutsu bombardment, Jonin Tsukiheim, who is good at close combat, and Special Jonin Silver, who is good at, and Special Jonin Silver. 4 people, 4 pairs of Sharingan. The lineup is luxurious. Even if it is not cut, it will be quite difficult to fight at this moment. Water escape? Water body. Water escape? The technique of the great waterfall. Art fire escape ho fireball. Fire escape? The art of dragon fire. Fumo shuriken. Physical arts? 8 diagrams punching fist. One after another violent ninjutsu, released frequently, collided with each other. The 2 sides confront each other with you coming and going. Although in terms of hard power, Ryeo and the others are no match. Relying on the cooperation of the 4 people and the addition of Sharingan, they still very cleverly blocked all the attacks of Zabuza. Even faintly suppressed the opponent. Now, standing in the distance, Natsume watched the battle while excitedly yelling and guiding. Not bad, that's it. Uncle Long, aim at his head and release ninjutsu. Yuji, fight closer and attack him. Don't give him a chance to seal. Sunday, pay attention to the interval between releasing ninjutsu, assist Yuji well, don't misplace. Silver, don't rush forward too much. Shoot more kunai and shuriken from behind. Would you play in? Don't worry about morals on the battlefield. Do whatever you want. Do you hear that? Such a crude and insidious instruction. It was even more exciting to the point where he would no longer yell in battle. I can't wait to rush over immediately and kill a brat first. But every time he wanted to kill that kid back. These 4 Uchiha ninjas will desperately pounce on him and launch a fierce attack on him. He didn't even hesitate to exchange injuries for injuries, as if he was not afraid of death. It forced him to step back, not daring to kill that brat again. Damn it. What is the identity of that brat? How can you make these ninjas so desperate? So loyal? It doesn't make sense. With a dark face, he secretly said in his heart. At the same time, the battle with the 4 of Sun Yao also felt more and more difficult. Among the 4, except for the female ninja and the uncle, the other 2 boys didn't have much combat experience. It was rusty at first. But now, the 4 of them cooperated more and more, and the more they fought, the easier it was. If it goes on like this, the one who loses in the end may even be himself. No, it can't be delayed any longer. I have to find an opportunity to release a large ninjutsu and defeat these people in one fell swoop. Be careful, that guy may use his avatar to hold you back, and then he is about to seal and release the water Dragon Ball technique. Tangle his body. Don't give him a chance. Natsume in the distance saw through the intention of Zabuza at a glance, and reminded loudly again. Hearing this, Zaibu Cho over there felt tightness in his chest and coughed suddenly. I almost vomited blood with anger. Bastard. How did that brat know? How did he know what I was going to do? I even shouted it out on purpose. Now how do I perform Surgeria? How to fight? Why don't you be so shameless? At this moment, looking at Zaibujan's aggrieved and flustered look, Natsume was also happy. Just a joke, in my previous life, I grew up watching this guy get married. The water dragon bullet technique of more than 40 seals, I can recite it backwards with my eyes closed. Looking at the ninja world, it is estimated that no one is more familiar with this guy's fighting style and tricks than himself. Why did he fight? What to win? In this way, after the 4 of Ryeo were reminded again, they also suddenly accelerated their offensive. Don't give another chance to perform spells. As for Natsume, he watched happily from a distance. That's it. It can be seen with the naked eye that the declining trend of no longer cutting has been expanded step by step. At this point in the fierce battle, there are more than 10 wounds all over his body, and the overflowing blood has stained most of his body red, making him look more and more embarrassed. Only just a few people on Sunday, when victory is in sight. Behind Natsume, a small puddle of water suddenly trembled and gradually condensed into a delicate girl about 10 years old. WHDD. Holding kunai in her hands, the girl rushed out and came behind Natsume. Arrived at his neck with the sharp kunai. Quick! Tell your men to stop. Or I'll kill you. Bai opened his eyes wide and threatened loudly. If it wasn't necessary, he really didn't want to disobey the order of Mr. Zabuju, so he made a move. But he is not stupid. Look at the situation and continue fighting. If you don't kill the adults, you may lose, or even die. Naturally, he couldn't wait any longer, so he had to force his shot. He was going to capture Natsume alive, and use this as a threat to force those ninjas back. Young Patriarch. Several people on Ryeo had a meal one after another, their hearts tightened, and they immediately wanted to come to help Natsume. Concentrate on fighting. Don't be distracted. Natsume scolded flatly. Yes. See here. Bai was even more furious, and he threatened again by gritting his teeth. Are you dying? Tell your people to stop, I won't say it again. It's hard to be a traitor, isn't it? Huh? What nonsense are you talking about? If I were you, I would let go of kunai and beg for mercy honestly. Maybe I can save my life. Natsume smiled lightly, not nervous at all. Bai, who was only 10 years old, held kunai tightly with trembling hands. You forced me. Bai Xian swayed and stabbed directly at Xiaomu's neck. No matter what, he must save Mr. Zai Bujan. Yes, next second. The expected blood did not spurt out. Bai only felt that there was nothing left, and he didn't feel the real feeling of being stabbed at all. Instead, he staggered and almost fell to the ground. Then, fix your eyes and look. He suddenly discovered that the boy's body collapsed into countless little pandas in an instant. Then, these little pandas bounced around him again, and quickly gathered on his right side. Once again condensed into the appearance of that boy. Bai was shocked suddenly. Substitution? Avatar? No. It's an illusion. I have fallen into an illusion. The boy was not an entity from the beginning? How? When did I get the surgery? Why didn't I notice it? In panic. How dare Bai hesitate? Hastily displayed his blood succession boundary? Ice escape, which is also his strongest ninjutsu. Ice escape secret technique? Magic mirror ice crystal. Soon, ninjutsu was activated. A large number of ice mirrors quickly condensed around him. And he himself is also ready to flash into the ice mirror quickly, and then use it to launch an attack. Only. Just when he was about to flash into the ice mirror, he subconsciously glanced at the boy. In an instant, Bai was shocked again. That's Kaleidoscope Sharingan? How come? In a split second. More than 10 ice mirrors suddenly shattered. Boom DD. With the sound of a crash. Bai saw a flash in front of his eyes, before he could react. A hand that was about the same size as him pinched his throat. Directly and forcefully interrupted his ninjutsu and lifted him up easily. I said, please be honest, why are you disobedient? Looking at the scarlet pupils of the boy, listening to the indifferent voice. Bai even trembled slightly, like falling into an ice cellar. I just feel powerless like never before.